Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So I don't exactly know what this video is called. If you guys have watched, I've seen the thumbnail and the title, I'm sure you guys know, but as of the time of recording this, I don't. So basically the whole point of this video is to read sequels of books that I loved the original books or the first books in the series, and then I started reading the sequels or the other books in the series, and I loved the original ones, but I hate the sequels and I stopped reading them, and they were literally unfinished, what is it called? Did not finished books, when I loved the original books that they came from. Okay, so let's get started. The three books that I'm going to be reading in this challenge or attempting to read in this challenge are Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, which is the sequel to Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros and is the second book in the Imperium series. The next book that I'm going to try to be reading in this challenge is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, and this is book 5 in her Court of Thorns and Roses series, if you count A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is a novella, so it's really tiny. If you don't count that one, then this would be book 4. So that's A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. And then the last book that we're going to be going over in this challenge is The Everqueen by L.J. Andrews, and that is the sequel to The Everking, and book 2 in this series, as far as I know, but I don't know what the series is officially called, just The Everking. So let me go over all of this, and then we'll get to the actual part of the challenge. With The Everqueen, I read the first book in this called The Everking, as a part of my Reading Wheel challenge, which I just finished editing the last video in that challenge, so I'll post the first one in that challenge up here, along with my review of The Everking, so you guys can check out those videos. And I loved it. That was the main book I read as a part of that reading challenge, and I was so into The Everking. And even because it ended in a cliffhanger when I read The Everqueen, I did start reading this as a part of the end of that challenge. After I finished The Everking, I still had to finish the reading challenge, and I read The Everqueen, and in the last video I left off at 39% of the way through the book. And I think after that I did keep reading, because according to my bookmark I left off about 60%, and I remember rage quitting because I was just bored and mad and I have no idea what's going on. So we'll talk about that when I get to it. It's called The Everseas, book 2, by the way. So yeah, the only thing I remember, because that was earlier this year, so back in like April maybe, when I filmed those, just now got around to posting them, but I read The Everking. It was like the wheel chose how long I would read every day, and so I read The Everking, a few dabbling audiobooks, attempting to get through this book and still failing at that, and then mostly The Everking, and then reading The Everqueen up to 39%. And in the cliffhanger, this will be spoilers for The Everking and The Everqueen. Liva, the main girl, was kidnapped. Eric went through a bunch of stuff to rescue her, and then she got rescued, and then it just kind of like, I don't know, lost its appeal or hook, and I just never finished it. So that's The Everqueen, which will be the last one that I'm going to get to in the challenge. The second one that I'm going to get to in this challenge is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. So I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and I started reading A Court of Silver Flames. I loved the Court of Thorns and Roses series. All of the books mentioned above, I have reviews on those on this channel, so I'll pop those all up here on the screen. And you guys can go check that out. Check out those reviews. I hadn't read for a while. I was kind of like just a writer and kind of got into this dump where I just couldn't find any books that I wanted to read. And then I discovered A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I fell in love with the series, and I binge read the series, couldn't get enough of it. And I loved it so much, and it got me back into reading again, and ever since then I've been reading off and on, and have done tons of reviews on my channel since then because I've been reading again. The problem for me with this book is that you have the whole series, A Court of Thorns and Roses, all 4 books, and the 3 books, and the short novella, A Court of Frost and Starlight. I just lost my bookmark. Is a fantasy romance series. And it's fantasy romance because the main plot, even though there's like a war and all kinds of other stuff going on for the plot itself, the main plot does focus on the romance story. And that's because that's how you know it's a romance fantasy or fantasy romance. Because you take the romance out of it and there's not a whole lot of plot to it or substance. And the focus is on Feyre and her main love interest, Rhysand. Even in book 1, when she's more with Tamlin, it still kind of is basically about her love story, and it's told from Feyre's perspective in first person. And I've never had a series, or I've never known a series to be first person, to start off that way and kind of be similar to all those YA books we used to read when we were kids, like Divergent and Twilight and Hunger Games and all those, that then toward the end of the series completely changes to a different character. So this book is about Feyre's sister Nesta, and is told from her perspective and Cassian's perspective. Cassian is one of Rhysand's friends and like the general, and he's a really important character in the previous books, and we do fall in love with him too, but still it's not told from Feyre's perspective. We only got a little bit of Rhysand's perspective. And the thing is, the biggest problem for me is that Nesta is the sister of Feyre that I really hate. Feyre was like, you know, she was the one that had to go out and hunt and provide because like her sisters didn't do anything. And the other one, Elaine or whatever her name is, kind of has like a, I don't know, where she was kind of skittish and protected and frail, and just she had a better reason for not really doing much. But Nesta is like, should have done more to protect them and save them. And after everything that happened, she just is so hateful and arrogant, and I hate her attitude, and I cannot stand her. And before, it's always told through Feyre's perspective, and so I can kind of like, okay, I'm annoyed that she's in a scene, but she's there and then she's gone, and it's not really relevant. But this part of most of this is her perspective, and it's her story and Cassian's love story. And I hate Nesta, and I tried and I failed. And so I read to like a certain point, which wasn't very far. It was like almost where I am now, but like a little bit. Rage quit years ago, and then I tried to start over and read it again when I did the Reading Wheel Challenge. I found the audiobook. They had the whole audiobook series for free, but that turns out that was just for members, and I canceled my audiobook, or I think I had a free trial at that point, and so I didn't get very far. And then I did the Reading Wheel Challenge where I got the audiobook at that point, I think, and I listened to and read up to this point here where I am here. Obviously I didn't make it very far, and then since then I had canceled my audio subscription, and then recently, the last couple of months, I got it back, finally got the audiobook for this again. And when I listened to the audiobook, I found that the narrator reads her as more sad than the way that when you read her voice, the way that Sarah J. Maas has written her, she comes off as very, very hateful, and I hate her. But I can stand her when the narrator reads, and I don't comprehend well when I'm listening. I comprehend better reading myself, and so my idea is to listen to the audiobook so that I can stand Nesta because of the narrator, while also following along so I can comprehend all the details. And so that's my plan to hopefully finally get through this book. So that's this story, and that's going to be the second one as a part of this challenge that I'm going to try to get through. And then Iron Flame is the major one. So Fourth Wing has an interesting story, which I talk about and I have in my review here, so I'll post that here for you guys to watch if you want to. And basically, long story short, we went on a trip, and on the way home we were listening to the audiobook for for Fourth Wing, and it was so captivating and hooking that it hooked me and my sister, and my sister's not a book reader, and even she loved it, so we stopped at a Barnes & Noble on the way home, bought the book. My sister started where we left off. I started it over because, again, I don't comprehend well, and so I wanted to reread everything myself. And we were literally reading the same books and had our bookmarks in different places. Loved the book. You guys can check out my review here. And as soon as we finished, I dived straight into Iron Flame because it was just like so good. And the thing is, Fourth Wing ends like on a, I would say, kind of like a high point where there's all this intense stuff, emotional turmoil, action, battles, epic stuff. And then Iron Flame kind of resolves that, and you kind of go back down in terms of the pacing. And Iron Flame had this Fourth Wing had this expert pacing that you'd read and you'd want to get to all these exciting things, and the exciting things would happen, and then right when you start to get a little bored, something else would happen and it'd pick back up again. And it's just, it was perfect expert pacing that I think all writers should read and take notes about. For Iron Flame, though, my brain was expecting to get involved in the war, and it went back to school, and I'm going, okay, they're back, and it's not school, and it's not YA, it's adult, and they're in a war college, so there is a lot of intense stuff because they are learning how to fight in a war, but I could not stand the classroom scenes and the just going back to the war college. It was very boring, and I expected so much different stuff. And on top of that, the main love interest, Xaden, he has a valid reason for not being around a whole lot, and so he got kind of yeeted out of part of the story. And so for the first part of it, I was just so out of it, and I slowed down and I just stopped reading it. And at the same time, I discovered a new app on my phone called Chapters, where I was able to read a bunch of different stories, and I got really into some of those that were just, some are really good. I'll be doing a video on that soon. If it's out, I'll have it here. If not, whatever. And I just slowed down. And then my cousin and I had talked about doing the 24-hour reading challenge, where you stay up for 24 hours and you read the whole time, and it was our first attempt at doing it. We may do more attempts in the future. My sister joined us, and my sister was reading Iron Flame at the same time, and she was reading ahead of me, and I was like 100 or 200 pages behind her, and I was desperately trying to catch up. And my cousin was reading a different book because she'd already read this book. So I'll have that video here because that is a super fun video that we did, the 24-hour reading challenge. But that's when I read this and I got to the good part. And for me, whereas the pacing in Fourth Wing was like super intense and exciting and thrilling, and then you slow down a little bit, and right when you get bored, it picks back up again, and you're super intense, and then you start to get a little slow, but you're not bored, but then it's super intense, and it just keeps going back and forth like that. It's really good pacing. That is like, so that's the pacing of Iron Flame, Fourth Wing, whereas Iron Flame kind of feels like it's just you're coming down off the high of Fourth Wing, and it just drops and it slows way down, and it's just slow, and then the middle gets more intense and starts picking up a little bit, and then you get into these really intense highs, super intense, action-packed. I read that whole day for hours and hours. And fun fact, in that 24-hour reading challenge, I read longer in that challenge than I did for all of the spinning wheel reading challenge, but it felt natural, and we just read all day, and it was so wonderful. And it was just, I was so into it, and then I stopped, and then things slowed back down again, and I rage quit. And the reason why I rage quit, so this will have spoilers for Iron Flame, but I have to talk about it because that's literally why I rage quit reading this book. The main girl character, I won't say specifics, but she gets kidnapped, and she gets basically tortured, and it's so intense, it's heart-wrenching, it's gut-wrenching, and you want to keep reading, you want to wait for her to get rescued, and you're expecting when she gets rescued for there to be a conversation about it, about her emotional turmoil, her headspace, what she went through, what she endured, for the main guy to say something like, I was so worried about you, or when I found out you were gone, this happened, and for him to share his side of things, or some sort of conversation. And it jumps over all of that. Her injuries are just suddenly better. She doesn't even talk to her dragons about it. She doesn't even talk to her dragon about it. And then it's just spice. They only do spicy physical stuff together, and that's it. There's no conversation, and I was so mad. And beyond that, the plot is actually picking up, so there's a lot going on, but I was so angry that it just skipped over what I consider to be a super vital and important character development point for both her and the main love interest that was completely yeeted out and skipped over. I rage quit so hard. I've never rage quit so hard in my life, other than maybe A Court of Silver Flames. And that, I guess, is kind of what is here, is that I've rage quit these books that are sequels to books that I really loved, and I genuinely do want to finish them and try to get through these. And so that's the challenge, and I will give it my best shot, and if I don't finish them, I don't finish them, and I'll give you my reasons why on whether I finish these books or not. So yeah, that's basically what the challenge is. I don't know how long it's going to take me to finish these as well. That's the other part of this challenge too. So I'm just going to be updating you guys kind of here and there as I go. I will still be doing full review videos for any of these books that I do officially finish. I don't review books unless I finish them. And again, I'll be listening to the audiobook for A Court of Silver Flames to try to get through it. But we're going to start with Iron Flame, which is the most recent one. And I'm so close, like I'm closer to finishing it. So I'm going to do my best. And the third book in this series, Onyx Storm, is coming out in January. And so it'd be nice to get that done before then. So for reference, it is September 6th for me. It's 2 a.m., but I haven't gone to bed yet. You guys know how that works for me. So it's September 6th. So we're going to see how long it takes me to finish this book, how long it'll take me to finish this book, and how long it'll take me to finish the Everqueen, and how long it'll take me to finish this whole challenge. So this has been the first video in this challenge of finishing books that I rage quit on that are sequels to books that I loved. I'm going to need to shorten that. But yeah, I will check in with you guys later when I have something more to report in this challenge, and let's get into this.
Into the spotlight, here I am, shining bright like a diamond in the glam. Every move I make, they know my name. In the center of the stage, I claim my fame. Lights are flashing, crowds alive. With every beat, I start to thrive. In this world, I'm here to stay. Watch me as I rule the day. I'm a pop star, shining so bright.
Hey guys, so it's day 3 of the reading the sequels that I hate challenge thingy. I didn't really vlog yesterday. I tried to get a clip when I was walking on my treadmill. My goal has been to walk 30 minutes, and I thought I would read while walking on the treadmill. I've had a lot of back trouble this week, so I wasn't able to do that long, and I just didn't feel like vlogging about it. So that was yesterday, which I just read on the treadmill. I found a new TV show, so I've been reading on commercials when I'm watching it, like in my wind down time on my phone, and I've been doing the same thing for Iron Flame tonight, but it's kind of picking back up again, which again has been the whole thing with this book. But I wanted to make a quick note to you guys. So Xaden and Violet are fighting again, and the situation that I rage quit on, so spoilers for Iron Flame and Fourth Wing, but if you guys had listened to my issue with Iron Flame, I mean, it was that when she gets kidnapped and tortured, they rescue her, and Xaden is just like, it's just no she doesn't talk to anybody about it. She's just better, and there's just spice, and there's no conversation like that needs to happen because of what she's been through for her character development, for his, because like what did he go through when he found out that she was held captive and all this stuff. And I finally got to page 390, and there's a brief mention about it, and they're fighting just in general about how protective he's been over her, and they're fighting about that, and he mentions some of the stuff that's happened, and that is one of the things that's in there. And so it's finally mentioned, and I feel like they're just closed off from each other, and that's been the whole thing between the relationship, is that they're just really, you guys can come back now, by the way, and so these particular characters, even though I hated that they didn't discuss this when the event happened that they should have talked about instead of getting spicy, I feel like the main premise for their romantic plot line in this book is that they're closed off, and they're trying to learn how to be open with each other and have a real relationship that goes beyond just the physical. And I feel like they're both closed off, and they're like learning to be open with one another, and maybe that's why they didn't have the conversation. I still don't like it, but I can kind of like forgive it a little bit if it keeps going in this direction. But also the main plot's picking up too. So I'm on page 390, and I'm making progress. Check in with you guys next time. Hey guys, so this is the 4th video in my book sequel rage challenge thingy. It's been a couple days, but I've been reading it, and let me tell you, Iron Flame is picking back up again. And this is where I said, like, in my review of Fourth Wing, Rebecca Yarros is a pro at pacing, because if I had just like kept reading like a couple chapters more, the pacing would have picked right back up again, but instead I just gave up and rage quit. And the characters did have a conversation about the situation that happened that I felt like they needed to have a conversation with, and I think they're just closed off. But the circumstances just got dramatic enough that this afternoon when I was reading this, I cried. And I haven't had a chance to continue reading because things just got tense, like things just got real. So I'm interested and I really want to keep reading. And this is actually causing me to be intimidated. My book Warriors, the one I'm editing right now, it's in the Valiant series, and it's very similar to Fourth Wing. I came up with and wrote it long before Fourth Wing was even a thing, so it's just coincidental. But Fourth Wing and Rebecca Yarros and Iron Flame is better. So yeah, it's causing a lot of problems with my editing. I'll have that up here as a card though, if it's up by the time you guys are watching this. If not, look for it. It'll be out hopefully next year if I can ever get through the editing process. So yeah, that's my current dilemma right now. Hey guys, so this is another video in my not enjoying sequels of books that I enjoyed the prequels or the first or original books to. I really need to come up with a title for this thing, but I'm still reading Iron Flame, and honestly, it's gotten really, really good. The pacing really picked up, and for several days, I've been reading it for days now, just like reading it, enjoying the book, and I haven't come to another slow point that made me want to quit in a while. So I just want to point out I'm on page 578, and it has, I gotta be careful, I don't want spoilers. So on page 578, and I think there's I don't want to look too closely, but there's around 615. So I'm not kidding, like we're talking like the last 30 to 40 pages. So my goal is to sit here and finish Iron Flame, which is why I'm vlogging. It's getting intense, final battle stuff. It's 2 a.m. Let's go. I told y'all I would finish it. So this is for my my rage quit thing, my sequel rage quit thing video. I still need to figure out what this is called, but I just recorded my review for Iron Flame, the video, so I'm getting ready to like review it on all the sites and stuff, update my Goodreads, because the last time I updated it was August 5th, and I was on page 348. So, shows you how I started this book on July 12th, so that shows you how slow I was to read this book. So if you want to check out my review of Iron Flame and get all my thoughts on it, then check out the review. It'll be here as a card. But I did finish it, and it ends up, for me, this ended up being a 5-star read, just because the ending, and by ending, I don't mean the last like 10 or 20 pages. I'm talking the last couple hundred pages is so good that it like offsets the negatives that made me want to quit reading, which was the slow pacing and the lack of a really solid hook in the first bit, like Fourth Wing had. So for me, it still kind of saved itself and ended up being a 5-star read. So overall, I'm glad that I pushed through. And I think the lesson that I've learned with this particular book is a lot of times if I had just kept reading another chapter or so at the most, the pacing would have picked back up to intense things. Every time I quit, when I came back, I only had a short time of reading before I got back to the intense stuff. So I think I just shouldn't have given up so easily. And going into this book with the assumption that, okay, we're just going to be war stuff all the time, and not realizing, okay, we're going to go back to college. But it's like, I think for anybody who's expecting college, they're going to, like the war college stuff, they're going to be thoroughly surprised that those are more intense than first year. And it would make a really, really exciting book that's actually probably more intense than Fourth Wing. Whereas for me, I'm like, this is not war. This is not actual war. You're not on a battlefield. And so I had the wrong, like, assumptions going into it. And that was, like, what hurt me. But again, if I had just kept reading most of the time, like, another chapter, or less past where I got stuck at, the pacing would have picked back up and I would have been right back into it. So that's my thoughts for Iron Flame. So next I'm going to jump to A Court of Silver Flames. I gotta fix the dust jacket because I was so in a hurry. I finished reading it, put it down. Well, I had a moment to just like, freak out a little bit. I came here, I grabbed the dust jacket, slipped it on real quick, and wanted to film my review of this book. So I put it on all wrong, backwards and upside down. So I think this is how it's supposed to go. So that's the front. So that means it goes on like this. I can't wait till the hardback with dust jackets come in for Immortal and Omnibus. I'm gonna have so much fun. Alright, so that's on, and I can officially say that I've read this book, so we're going to put this on my shelf. I would say next to Fourth Wing, but my husband's got my copy of Fourth Wing, sadly. So, here we are. I need to move the Twilight books. I don't know. I got into Midnight Sun for a bit, so I was like, okay, those are actually really good books, worthy of being on my epic fantasy shelf. No, they're not. We're gonna move them. So yeah, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame are somehow going to fit over here. So I'm probably gonna have to, again, when I move the Twilight books, then Iron or Fourth Wing should fit right here really nicely. But in the meantime, we're gonna steal this. I already have a bookmark, which is one of my own. Alright, Court of Silver Flames. I have read the beginning of this 3 times because I started it, stopped it, and then started it and stopped it around the same part every time. And guess what? I'm going to start it again because it's been too long since I started this book. So I'm going to check my Goodreads account and do my Iron Flame update real quick. And then I'm going to see if I ever listed when I started this book or if I like deleted it or just didn't do it. And to get me through Nesta. Because the problem with this book, as I've said, is that we had a whole series with one character, Feyre, and then all of a sudden you write a book in the series, which is supposed to be book 5, if you count the novella as 4. It's supposed to be the 5th book in a series, and without classifying it differently, you write a book and switch to a sister's perspective who is a witch that we don't like. And by which, I'm referring to a cuss word that I do not want to say and should not say. Without classifying it differently. Like, if she had, like, to me, acknowledged that this is different and not the same as Feyre and Rhysand's story, then that would be a little bit more forgivable. But it's like, it's still classified as all part of the same series, and I hate Nesta so much. But the narrator is sweet and makes her sound more sad than not. Based on this little bit is what I read with the audiobook the first time. And then I had to cancel my subscription and I didn't get it for free anymore. And I recently got a subscription again and was able to actually get it not just for free, but like actually using a credit to like buy the audiobook or whatever. So we're going to start over again and see what happens and see how fast I can get through it. So when I officially restart it, I'll let you guys know so that way we can track how long it took me to finish this. So I finished Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I started it on or around July 12th, 2024, and I just finished it today on September 14th, 2024. So next we will be trying to finish A Court of Silver Flames. Hey guys, so I got a piece of gum in my mouth, so if I slur, that's why. I just want to let you know that I did officially start Court of Silver Flames again, and it was September 14th for me. It's in the AM now, but I haven't gone to bed yet, so I started it, and I officially did start it on September 14th. So started it with the audiobook, and I was following along in the paperback here, and then my husband and I went out in the evening, like at 8 o'clock, and on the way home I was like, I need to get this book done, so I listened to the audiobook on the way home, and I got a little further, and so I found out where I left off in the audiobook, which I'm on page 17. So, 17 out of several hundred. I'll look and see in just a jiffy. I'm also listening to it. The average speed is like 1 whatever, and so I'm at 1.2, which went, basically the whole audiobook went from 26 hours to 21 hours, and I was like, hey, the longer the merrier, right? Because the shorter, it takes me to finish this, the better off it'll be. Okay, I'm having a really hard time here. I'm at the acknowledgements page. Hold on. 750. I'm on 17 out of 750. So yeah, I'll check in with you guys next time. I forgot to say, 1, I'm still having withdrawal, like book symptoms withdrawal from Iron Flame. I miss it and I want Onyx Storm, and it's so good and I just want to keep reading it. So that makes it hard to start another book whenever you're still withdrawing from the last one. On top of that, Rebecca Yarros's writing style is better than Sarah J. Maas's. I love Sarah J. Maas and I love the ACOTAR series, but it's just not enough to help me right now, especially when this book isn't like about Feyre or Rhysand or a character that I like, that I would be able to push through the bad writing to like just enjoy the story because I love the characters or the plot. I don't like Nesta, and that's reason number 3. I hate Nesta with a passion. And so my thoughts on her so far based on the series is like literally their dad was a bad dad, so he didn't do anything for them, and she's the older sister, so Feyre had to be the one to go out, risk her life, hunt, and basically kept her sisters alive. Nesta did nothing, and this is like book 1 Nesta, and she literally did nothing, and Feyre had to do everything. And I get that you may be traumatized from having a bad parent, but realistically speaking, like, all I'm saying is that in real life, I understand the situation. Been there, done that. And, like, when you have to step up, you step up as a big sister. I'm a big sister, so for me, it just really irks me. And even if you're the younger sister, like my big sister, my younger sister stepped up when she needed to. And it's like, as a human being, you step up when people need you. And then, so those are the 3. The writing, I'm coming off of Iron Flame withdrawal. The writing style is not as good as Rebecca Yarros, and I'm reading them back to back. I hate Nesta with a passion. On top of how she's been doing with Nesta, with Feyre, like, she's treating everybody horribly. She has the worst, like, bad attitude I've ever seen. She is so ungrateful. She's literally an ungrateful wretch, honestly. And they've done so much to help her. They've given her everything, and she's so ungrateful and just angry, and just, she treats people so bad. And it's so hard to get through this book. And I love Cassian, and even his perspectives are just like still not enough to help me enjoy the book so far. But I gotta keep pushing, so I'm gonna keep pushing until I literally just have to quit. To see if I can complete this challenge or not. And after this, we still have one more freaking book to go. I'm just glad that Iron Flame was a good, picked up and was such a good book. It's just making it really hard to get through Silver Flame. I should have started with Silver Flame first, but I was really into Iron Flame. Yeah, I said that right. Anyways, I'm tired, so check in with you guys next time.
Into the spotlight, here I am, shining bright like a diamond in the glam. Every move I make, they know my name. In the center of the stage, I claim my fame. Lights are flashing, crowds alive with every beat.
Hey guys, so this is another video in my sequel rage challenge. And as you can see, I've got popcorn and Mountain Dew, which looks like I'm having a green theme, and I'm not matching Court of Silver Flame. Well, I guess it's not the same shade. So I basically, the audiobook has really been helping me, and honestly, like, listening to it while I'm doing other things is really helping me, because then I'm not as frustrated or bored. But I was offered 3 months free of Spotify Premium today, and it was like the last day you could do it, so I got it, and I'm gonna listen to the dramatization version. There's 2 parts to that one, so I'm trying out part 1 because I think the different casting and the noises and the music will make it feel more like a movie, so to speak. So I'm gonna try that, but right now I think I'm gonna eat my popcorn and watch a movie on my phone, and then I may listen to that a little later, and I may get a montage, like a screen recording. Even though I'll have to mute the audio. I'll put some pretty music for you guys. So yeah, grab some popcorn, get a good book, or watch a good movie, and chill out, just like I am. And I will check in with you guys next time. Sorry, my cord's in the way. I literally have the cat prowling around me and my popcorn. So I think this is perfect book vibes. I've got to read. I just have to start recording on my phone first. Trying to figure out what she's going to do. There she goes. She may settle beside me. She's going back. I don't know why the lighting's horrible on my phone. It's a nice view of the kitty, but well, she's decided to sit on my feet. I still have my popcorn, and now I'm going to get my book where I left off. Don't worry, this isn't spoilery. Okay, here it goes. Hey guys. Alright, let's see. Is it gonna force me to be sideways? I guess I'll just be sideways. There we go. I can't get the kitty in the view, but we'll do this for a bit.
Diamond in the glam. Every move I make, they know my name. In the center of the stage, I claim my fame. Lights are flashing, crowds alive. With every beat, I start to thrive. In this world, I'm here to stay. Watch me as I rule the day. I'm a pop star, shining so bright. Living for the music, owning the night. With every note, I take the lead. Living out the dreams I breathe. I'm a pop star, feel the heat. In the rhythm I find my...
I'm closer, so we need to talk. So I like the dramatized version, and it's getting me through it way more much because I'm looking forward to hearing the other characters, basically everybody but Nesta. I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say, especially Cassian's POV. The only problem that I have with it is that it skips certain parts, so anything that's visual and any sort of description about the sound of their voice, it skips, which on the one hand you're like, okay, you probably don't need that, but on the other hand, I like to know and I like to picture things visually, and I do feel like I'm not reading the whole book without that. So while I'm following along with the paperback, I can like skim over the parts that it skips, but if I'm like listening to the audiobook and working, I need the full one so that it tells me everything instead of skipping certain things. So I think I'm gonna mixture between basically both audiobooks, the dramatized version and the regular version, and then when I have the paperback I'll use the dramatized version, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna stop this montage thing because it's not as entertaining as I thought it would be, because I can't get this to go sideways. But I will check in with you guys next time, and I'm gonna keep going. So this is another video in my sequel Rage Quit challenge. I've made a lot of progress, as you can see. I have been enjoying the book so much that I have a routine of in the evening I sit down and I read, and to the point where sometimes I've been neglecting my writing and editing to read. The dramatized audiobook is amazing. So what I did was, I don't even know if I've vlogged about this, but what I did was I got on Spotify because I kept the dramatized audio, like the regular audiobook on Audible. I had 3 months free of Spotify Premium, so I decided to try it. You get 15 hours of listening time to audiobooks. So it was part one. The dramatized audiobook is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 is 10 hours. So I have 15. So I use that to listen to part 1 of the dramatized audiobook. I got addicted to it. The voices, the cast, the sounds, everything about this is amazing. It is so good. And it's like a movie in your head, like literally, like so much more. So I did that. I actually finished that last night, and when I was done with part 1, since there's only 5 hours of time left on Spotify, I switched to Audible. You can return titles that you use when you buy it with credits. So I returned, and I don't do this for indie authors because it hurts them, but you know, she's famous, she's got plenty of money. So I returned the regular audiobook and got part 2 on Audible, so that's the one I'm listening to. So I'm gonna get a few clips, but I'm gonna be listening on my phone and I can't do that in film. So anyways, enjoy.
In the rhythm I find my beat. From the top I'll never fall. I'm a pop star, I'll have...
Hey guys, so this is the 10th video in my sequel Rage Quit challenge video, or whatever I'm calling it, basically where I loved series is and ended up finding a book in that series that I hated that I'm now trying to finish. So I just finished A Court of Silver Flames. Yay! Woohoo! So far in this series, out of 3 books, I have read and finished 2 of them. So that would be Iron Flame and Court of Silver Flames. So we've got 2 out of 3 with only 1 book left, which is The Everqueen by L.J. Andrews. And so I am 59% through it. So I'm on page 256 out of 438. So we'll talk about that one later. But for now, I gotta put Iron Flame down. Let's talk about A Court of Silver Flame. So I just filmed my review for it. So check out the review for that one. That'll be up here as a card after I got to put this video out first, but once this video is out, then I'll put the cards for the reviews up. It'll just take, I'll do the first week with Iron Flame, and then the next week after that will be Court of Silver Flames. So you'll have to wait 1 or 2 weeks, but they will be out, so be looking for them. I'll have them as a premiere, just for reference, on both of those. So my review basically covers it all, but overall, I would say one thing that I'm learning with this challenge is not to judge a book by the book, and that doesn't make any sense when you think about it. But with both this one and Iron Flame, I would read, slow down, something would slow me down and pull me out of the story, and I just kind of rage quit because of one thing or another and stuff. And it was like the slow pacing in Iron Flame and going into it expecting a war and oh, we're back in college and I'm bored. Whereas this one, it was I hate Nesta and the main characters are Rhysand and Feyre, and now they're coming off as the antagonist and you're going to turn them into the bad guys and go to the perspective of a character that I absolutely loathe. I just couldn't get through her perspectives. But listening to the audiobook helped me because she reads Nesta's voice as sad instead of snappy and rude. And then I switched to the dramatized audiobook, which had a cast of characters, music and sounds, and it was like a movie in my head. And then I started to see this for what it was, which was a character who is ruining their life and has an alcohol problem and anger issues and lashes out at everybody. And they're ruining their lives so much that the friends and family does an intervention because you're going to destroy your life if we don't do something. And they hate them for that intervention, but in the end, they realize that the intervention's for their own good. And there's more to it than that, but that's the overarching theme. And so anytime I would be like, oh, Nesta, I hate you, and she would do something that I would hate it, I would remind myself, okay, she is a hurting character. She is an angry character. She is going to change, and this is for a purpose, and that purpose is to show an intervention. She's just in the intervention, not wanting to change right now. And yeah, it was just really good. And her and Cassian's relationship is everything. Cassian is such a good character. He stays with her. She is so mean to him, and she breaks his heart. And now I want to write a relationship like that because, oh my gosh. So I really, 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 really love their relationship. And honestly, it's very realistic with the training scenes. She trains and trains and trains and learns how to fight. I've never seen a book that actually shows that much training other than Fourth Wing, and Fourth Wing, how much she trains in that one. But even then, this one has a lot more just where he talks about the actual training and the sword fighting and all the things. I gotta get my dog in. But he just talks about all the training and stuff. So it makes realistic sense, and all of it lines up with what I learned from my husband and in Taekwondo. So it was really cool. So that lined up. There's a lot of magic and monsters, and the way that she describes monsters in this book reminds me of Cassandra Clare when I used to read her books as a teenager, because they're really well described and they sound so scary and creepy, but in a way, because I don't like any sort of horror. I'm a scaredy cat, but in a way that I can handle and read, and it just makes it way more intense to read. She doesn't have the best writing style. Especially after coming off of Iron Flame, it was really hard to go from Rebecca Yarros's writing to Sarah J. Maas's. So we'll see how L.J. Andrews holds up to that, but we're 2 for 3. So I'm going to keep going with this challenge. The next book is The Everqueen by L.J. Andrews. So basically, play the clip, but I did this challenge that was the reading wheel challenge, and so the wheel chose how many hours a day that I read, and I read The Ever King by L.J. Andrews, and I loved it. It was a 5-star read, so I'll have the first episode in the reading wheel challenge up here, and a link to the playlist with all of them in there, and I will also have a link to my review for The Ever King as well, so you guys can go check that out. But at the end of the challenge, I finished The Ever King, ended on a cliffhanger, so I immediately bought the next book, The Everqueen, and started reading it. And basically I got her perspectives was not as interesting as his, and her perspective, she's the spectator for other stuff going on that I don't care about, and feels like a springboard for some other side story that's going to be some other bonus novella or something. I have no idea. And so I rage quit when she got back. It just got like when the cliffhanger was finally resolved, I just couldn't handle it anymore, I think. To be honest, I don't really know or remember what's going on. I just started another chapter, so chapter 34. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this one. And I know I said that about the other two, but here's the difference. Both Iron Flame and Court of Silver Flames, my cousin had already read them and had recommended them to me, and she was the one who got me started at both of these series. So I fell in love with these series because of her. Well, I fell in love with them because I loved them, but I started reading them because of her. And so she was always there telling me that, okay, this is a good part. Like, she didn't tell me spoilers, but like she kind of encouraged me and like made me aware that these books are worth reading. They're worth finishing and just get through. Like, it's all like with the Silver Flames, like it's Nesta's character development, just stick with it. Iron Flame gets so much better, stick with it. You know, the slow parts, like it's gonna build up to this epic war, like just stick with it. My cousin's never read this book, so I have no idea if it's worth reading, if it gets better or not. I don't know, and I don't have that encouragement, if you will. I do have this challenge, and so, but this whole challenge is to see whether I do finish them or not. So I don't remember what's going on. I do remember something else about some character being treated and loved, even though he's supposed to be a different race in this book. And like the main girl had to go through all of this stuff to get them to trust her, and all of a sudden they're just like totally okay with this other character. I have no idea. I would use names and stuff, but I can't. So I just filmed my review for Court of Silver Flame, so I'm going to write my reviews on all the websites, and including the dramatized audiobook, and then go from there. So it's 11:03 and it's September 25th is when I'm restarting the Everqueen. So we'll see how long it takes me to finish this particular book. I'm going to mark that on Goodreads too, so we have that. The other issue that I'm probably going to have with this book is that the dramatized audiobook with this book, I just whacked myself in the chin, that hurt, made me want to go back and reread the rest of the series with the dramatized audiobooks, y'all. That's a problem. They're not as long as this book, so I could get through them pretty quickly, I think. The first part was 10 hours long, which I did via Spotify, and then I think the second part was 10 hours long as well. So the regular audiobook was like 26 hours. So, but yeah, so I need to do all of that. I may sit here and work for a while and not read, but we'll be switching to my Kindle and seeing if I can remember anything that's going on in this book. I am not starting it over like I did with Court of Silver Flames because I wasn't too far into that one. So we'll see, and I will check in with you guys next time. Hey guys, so this is for my sequel Rage Quit challenge. It's been a couple of days since I finished Silver Flames, and since then I actually started rereading the series, and I'm skimming through the book because the first book has a lot of exposition that I don't need anymore because I've already read it. And I love the dramatized audiobook, so I'm listening to the dramatized audiobook. I have a limited time period left, so I'm only listening to the important parts that I really want to hear. And then there's a Rhys Sandman fiction that has some of the book from his perspective, so I got that on my Kindle from the fan fiction author, and I'm reading his scenes after Feyre's when he comes in, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So basically my point is that I'm having a lot of trouble getting into the Everqueen because ACOTAR, the series, when I read Court of Silver Flames, it got me back in that series and story world, but we're gonna try this morning to read it at breakfast instead of ACOTAR, and then I have my regular work to do. So, but let's make breakfast. I do wake up at 2 in the afternoon and I don't get my day started till 3 because I do my Bible study, so my breakfast is still breakfast to me, but it's more of a lunch. So let's make breakfast together, and yeah, we'll see if I can read the Everqueen. Wrong. Actually, I want to. Okay. Alright, so I call these a turkey tortilla and cheese. I should come up with a more creative name. My dog also thinks she's gonna get pieces if I drop anything. Okay. I'm very particular about where things go. We're gonna do I need 5 pieces of turkey? Probably not. We're gonna go for it. And of course the cheese, it's one of the most important parts. And this looks really good. Y'all should try this at home. It looks really good. We'll see if it pairs well with a book. And then my mom was making one this morning when I first woke up, and I didn't think about the idea of adding onions, so I can't have very many onions, so I'm just gonna grab... Oh, this is very strong. Oh, I can't have very many, so we're just gonna do a few pieces here and there. Just enough to give it a little bit of flavor.
Living out the dreams I breathe. I'm a pop star, feel the heat. In the rhythm I find my beat. From the top I'll never
put it in the microwave.
I'm a pop star, I'll have it all.
And now we go
I'll stay strong forever.
Get my dog inside, because that's part of my morning.
I'll always be
Well, that's Mom when I first came out, but he, my husky, always goes out for an extra time. That's a bit unnecessary if you ask me. Alright, so I think 30 seconds was too... Woo, it's smoking. We got it. Cheese actually isn't quite melted, but the turkey started. I'm gonna let it go for the final 6 seconds. Alright, I've got meds to take. I gotta put all the ingredients back in the fridge, and then I can eat my breakfast. Alright, got I finished food here. I'm gonna wrap it up. I will show you.
With every beat I start to thrive. In this world I'm here to stay. Watch me as I rule the day. I'm a pop star shining so bright, living for the music, owning the night. With every note I take the lead, living out the dreams I breathe. I'm a pop star, feel the heat. In the rhythm I find my beat. From the top I'll never fall. I'm a pop star, I'll have it all.
Alright, well, I made 2 pages, so that's progress. My head is kind of like, I'm kind of picking up the events as I'm reading. I'm like, okay, I remember this, I remember that. It's some of the details that are lost on me, but there's no way I'm starting this book over. Honestly, I've been tempted to like mark this as a did not finish and just move on, because I don't know that it gets better, and I just don't know. I have some curiosity about where the book ends and like what the 3rd book is going to be about. I think it's going to switch main characters, but I don't know for sure. There's no intrigue, there's no danger. Like, there was so much of a cliffhanger and a hype and a dramatic circumstance at the beginning of this book, and about up to the halfway point, that now that it's resolved, it's like everything is happy, and it feels like a happy ending before the actual ending, but it's like, okay, at this point I know everything's gonna work out, so I don't know if there's gonna be anything dramatic happening between now and the end. Not enough to get me intrigued enough to read. Like, if I did know, then I would be like, okay, I'd be excited to get to this part or that part, but it just kind of feels like once we got to the safe conclusion at the end of the cliffhanger, that felt kind of like the happy ending at the end of the book. And so there's still like some plot line like unease going on, but it's kind of like a more, he just has to go around and kind of like smooth thing, like, you know, make the running of his kingdom smooth, help them accept his queen, you know, that sort of thing. So it just doesn't feel like the stakes are gone, essentially. And I feel like we know that things are going to work out and be happy. At least that's what it seems like. So maybe I'm wrong, and it has this epic moment or cliffhanger or whatever, like some sort of dramatic stuff going on, and maybe I'm totally off here. And if you've read the Everqueen, please let me know in the comments below, even though that'll be too late to help me by the time you guys are watching this video, because I'll have to make my decision and end the video one way or the other. But if you guys know, please let me know, just for my own sanity's sake. So I just don't know if it's worth my time to keep going, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. But yeah, I haven't decided to end it yet and to not finish this yet, but if I do, I will let you guys know. I'm going to give it a couple more days and dabble a little bit, and maybe when I finish my read through of ACOTAR with the dramatized audiobook and the recent fan fiction alongside it, because I'm using my Kindle for that, and I'm using the paperback books, and then for the paperback books, and then my phone for the dramatized audiobook. Maybe when I get through that, I'll be satisfied enough to go back to this one. But so this may be another, like, I'm trying it and I'm stopping it. So I'm going to give it a couple of days and go from there, and I will check in with you guys next time. Hey everyone, so this is the final clip and video of my sequel rage challenge video thingy. I will figure out a title for this video, I promise. So, but basically, thank you guys for following along with this video, but I have decided that I'm not going to finish reading The Everqueen, so this is the first book in the challenge that I did not finish. Yeah, so The Everqueen by L.J. Andrews. So basically, I'm having several different issues right now, and there's a lot of things that are going into my decision to not read this one. But out of the 3 books that I did, we did Iron Flame, and then we did Court of Silver Flames, and then this one. So I did 2 out of 3, which isn't bad. I consider that a win. So yeah, honestly, as I said, the cliffhanger at the end of book 1 really made me just instantly buy this. I'll have that again as a card here for the Reading Wheel Challenge. And I immediately jumped in and started reading it. And then when that's resolved, it kind of like falls flat, and so there is still a plot going on, and there is still like a sense of like plot and danger a little bit, but I feel like the stakes are kind of gone, because it's like, okay, we did the worst that we could possibly do, and so I don't know, there's just no high stakes anymore, on top of the fact that it's kind of like everything got resolved, it lost interest, and it started doing some different continuity issues within the world, and it just lost my interest. And so then my other problem was, after reading with Iron Flame and Court of Silver Flames, both of those books my cousin had read them, so like I knew they were going to get better, and in Iron Flame case, my sister also read it, so it's like I knew it was going to get better, and I knew that it was worth pushing through the boring parts to get to the good stuff. I don't have this with the Everqueen, for one, and for two, at some point both of those books did hit a point where it caught my interest and it hooked me again. It didn't take very long for Court of Silver Flames to do that, and then every time with Iron Flame, whenever it would like, when I would rage quit and pause reading it, when I came back to it, it was like the next chapter where it picked back up again, so I had a little bit more to go. So that's also factoring into my decision, is that I don't have that with this one, where it's like, it's not catching on, it's just lost my interest entirely. Number 2, I have other things I want to read, and I'm not going to sit here and suffer through a book that I don't want to read. I literally do not want to read this book, but with Iron Flame, Court of Silver Flames, I had reasons for wanting to finish them, and I did get hooked to want to finish both of them, and that is why I did finish both of them, and if you notice, they're both 5-star reads for me. Basically, I am not finishing this book, so this is a did not finish. I don't review did not finishes, and if I ever do come back to this book, I will let you guys know and link that video to this one, and we'll go over all the details then, but this has lost my interest for me, and I'm not finishing it. So yeah, we did Iron Flame, we did Court of Silver Flames, and I did not do the Everqueen. So that is the challenge. Basically, can I finish books that I hate that are part of series that I love? And the answer is yes, I can. And in Iron Flame and Court of Silver Flames, like both of those caught on to me like the next chapter or a couple of chapters after the part that I got stuck at. So it's like, give it a chance and keep trying. And that was kind of like the lesson that I learned, is sometimes you'll catch on and like you'll keep reading. And so honestly, that's kind of like the lesson that I learned here, is just keep trying and keep reading. And so that's what I try to do with the Everqueen, and it's just not working with that particular book. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this challenge. It's honestly been really fun, and I'm really glad that I did it, because Iron Flame and Court of Silver Flames are really, really, really good books, and Court of Silver Flames was so good, I'm having a Sarah J. Maas withdrawal, and it's making me reread the whole series, and the dramatized audiobook with it was also so good. I need another Court of Thorns and Roses book. Like, Sarah J Maas, please. But she did say in interviews that that's not her priority right now. And I really need Iron Onyx Storm, which is the third book in the Empyrean series, which is Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, that comes out in January. So I'm hoping to do like a book release party celebration, reading that book kind of thing. So that's going to be exciting. And honestly, Court of Silver Flames helped me get over my withdrawal and get through my withdrawal of Iron Flame, like wanting the next book, which is Onyx Storm. I wanted it so bad that Court of Silver Flames helped me get over my withdrawal, but then I'm having withdrawal from it. So I was re-skimming through the series to get over my withdrawal from Court of Silver Flames. So honestly, so overall, I love these two books, and I would say because of these two books, the challenge is a success. I love these books. They're both 5-star reads for me, and I'm having withdrawal symptoms from both. And honestly, like I said, this book helped me get over the withdrawal symptoms from this book, because the third book in this series does not come out until January, and who knows when the next book in this series is going to come out, but I can reread through this series. So honestly, it's really exciting. And the Ever Queen, I still enjoyed the Ever King, the first book, and I will always love the Ever King. Like, it's another 5-star read, and it's going on my favorite fantasy shelf over here, but just the Ever Queen just lost it for me, so I'm going to mark that as a did not finish. And if I had to rate it, I would say it's still a 4-star read for me, the half that I did read. Like, I really enjoyed it until it fell off. And the other thing that was really hard for me about the Ever Queen was the writing style. So after because I paused it and then read Iron Flame, or Fourth Wing, and Iron Flame, and Court of Silver Flames, and all that stuff. So basically, reading it so close back to back to these, Rebecca Yaros's writing style is so good and is better than Sarah J Maas's. I would say Sarah J Maas's romance is so good. And her writing style is still pretty good. It's not like terrible. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying Rebecca Yaros's is amazing. So they both have really good writing styles, but then going back to like this one, with LJ Anders, it just feels like it's not up to par with these, and it's really hard. It makes it even harder to get through. And I think I remember reading this one compared to the Ever King and saying that the writing style in this one feels like it went downhill compared to the Ever King, which I felt like the Ever King's writing style was really good. But even reading the few pages that I did when I restarted this book, it just does not feel the same to me. It just feels... it's really hard to get through for me, which is also the reason why I never continued Midnight Sun, because I was trying to do that one for a challenge too, and I couldn't. I was reading it right before I started reading Fourth Wing, so there's no way I'm going back to that book. But anyways, so yeah. That's been the challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did like this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and more reading challenges to come. Hopefully I'll be doing some more writing challenges in the future, but reading challenges are like the thing now. So yeah, and in the meantime, if you liked this reading challenge where I read the books that I hate, part of series that I love, then check out the reading challenge that I did with my cousin and my sister, where we did the 24-hour reading challenge. I'm telling you, we had so much fun, and honestly, that's where I read part of this book in, so check out the challenge. The video will be here. You don't want to miss it. We had a blast. It was interesting. So see how that one worked out. It's really fun.